and we'll start letting people in. Super. So, welcome everyone to day 3. Well done for being here again. I'm sure you've probably had enough of Zoom for this week, but really honestly, well done for showing up here this evening to find out a little bit more about some of the fantastic people that we work alongside at VetU. So I'm going to give you all a chance to get in here. I can see Matt from VetU has just arrived as well. So I'm going to make Matt a co-host so Matt can unmute himself and come and join in as well. Brilliant. So please do let us know if this is the first day that you've logged in or if you've been here for the whole hog with us. We'd love to know who's been here since Monday. So please drop it in the chat box if you were here for the 3rd consecutive day. We would absolutely love to know what your take homes have been so far as well. So hi Matt, how are you doing?
Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome.
Hey, I was just saying 3rd day of Zoom, and well done to everybody that's turning up to be here this evening with us as well, because this is such an important topic for Talk Money Week. So we'll just give everyone another minute just to jump in, because I know we've got a couple more that were coming along there as well. But it's been a really good series of talks, hasn't it, Matt?
Listen, we're very grateful for everybody giving up their time again this evening. But yeah, Katie, as you and I both passionately believe, getting your financial affairs in order is a key thing that you can do, to get the most out of life and your career. So whatever it has in store for you, making sure you get your income, your health, and your future sorted financially is the best planning that you can make at this stage. So. And that stage can be at any stage in your career, from pre-graduate days right the way through to pre-retirement, making sure that you've got your finger on the pulse of what's happening with you personally around your finances is vitally important.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more, Matt. And we've got a couple of comments in the chat. The 3rd day, very impressed so far. Well, thank you so much for your kind comments. And a lot of that goes down to these fantastic people that we're joined with this evening as well. So I think we'll get started. I'm just going to run through a couple of slides. So as Matt has already said, we are very passionate about 3 particular things here at VetU, as well as introducing you to financial, professionals that can help you and understand the vet profession as well. So we really want you to be helped to protect your health, your income, and your future. And we look at each individual component of that. And that's why we thought it's really important this evening for us to have people that can help with all of these different parts. So like Matt said, whatever stage of your career you are at, there is no better time to start than now. So we're on day 3 already of Talk Money Week. We know that Talk Money Week is run by the Money and Pension Service, and it's very important for us to open these conversations around money, because we know that despite the pandemic throwing up money, that we have to start talking about it. Still 9 out of 10 of us really don't like talking about finances. So in the vet profession, we know that we speak with clients on a regular basis about money, but really this is about us looking at our personal finances. And like Matt said, whether that's our finances, protecting our health to make sure we've still got an income, our income itself, and our future. So pensions, investments, life insurance moving forward. So day 1, we covered money mindset. We dived into what we think about money already, where that's come from, looking at action taking and not getting too stuck in those thought patterns that we never chose. Day 2, we were joined by Ruth, who's back on the call again today, and she gave us a fantastic session of top line financial education. So we got a little bit more of an idea of where our money could go, things to be aware of, and who we could speak to next. And our 3rd session tonight is us assembling our money Avengers. And what do we mean by this? We've already seen that there is a lot to take on board when we're looking at finances. And we also know that as veterinary professionals, when we've got pet owners that want to know more about a particular topic, we always prefer that they come to us as experts, as people that are trained in that field. So why don't we do the same for ourselves with finances too? So we have gathered 3 fantastic people that we work alongside at VetU, just to showcase, so you can see the people behind the job titles, the people behind the names and the companies, and it might just help you make that decision in moving forward. We are all about talking money. So we wanted to give everyone a chance to share some personal reflections, a little bit more about how we work with others at VetU and how they can help you as well. So please do keep your ears open, keep switched on. It might be that here you say, oh, you know what, I need to book in and have a chat with them. We do have the opportunity to speak to everyone that's on the panel. Afterwards, you can connect with them as well. We're going to try and keep this evening session quite short, given the fact that you've already had 2 longer evenings on Zoom as well. So let's get going with our panel session. So I just wanted to, first of all, thank and introduce the 3 fantastic people that we've got joining us for the panel, and myself and Matt as well. I'm sure we're going to have bits to contribute along the way here too. First of all, we've got Ruth Downs, who is a financial advisor that works for Reflect Financial Limited. Ruth gave us a fantastic presentation yesterday. We've got Jay Bayani, who is a specialist employment law solicitor, and she's a director as well at Bayani Law. And we've just recently started working alongside Bayani Law, and we're going to have some HR and more diving into this topic over the next few months. So keep your ears and your eyes peeled for you to keep an eye out for those sessions as they come up. And finally, we've got Nicola, who is from Harris & Co. Accounts. And Nicola has given us 2 fantastic Ask the Accountant sessions so far this year, where I know she's always had an awful lot of information to cover, but she's done it so well for us. And we've always had fantastic feedback on there too. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And in fact, we've got Jason here as well, who's also from Bayani Law. I can see him on the screen. So hi Jason, good evening. And I will just stop sharing my screen. So the first thing that we wanted to start off with would be, if I can just ask you all to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about how you work with VetU members and what you help with. So I was going to come first to you, Ruth. You're the first on my screen.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for letting me be part of this today. So how do I help veterinarians? So I help them all around their finances feel less confused and feel like they're spinning lots of plates. Where do I start? Well, we start at the beginning, and I help you work towards your own financial goal, own financial plan. We look at your pensions, where they all are. Do you want them all in one area? Any investments you might want to make, helping your money work harder for you, and especially protection, and that all important income protection and life insurance. So yeah, that's how I help people. I work with them and go on a journey.
Super, thank you, Ruth. And you're a financial advisor as well, aren't you? So I know we talked about this yesterday, anyone that was there, about the fact that financial advisors aren't just for the super wealthy, aren't just the people with massive portfolios looking to invest, but there's a huge amount of things that you can help with.
Absolutely. And there's no such thing as a silly question. So yeah, I'm a financial advisor for Reflect Financial, and I work with St. James's Place, which is a FTSE 100 company. So you'll be in more than safe hands.
Super, thank you, Ruth. And Nicola, tell us a little bit more about you and a little bit more about how you help vets via VetU.
Hi, Katie. Thank you. Thank you again for inviting me along tonight. It's a real pleasure to work with you in the VetU team. So I'm Nicola Horden. I'm a chartered accountant and chartered tax advisor, a partner at Harris & Co. Accountants in good old Barnsley. Tax is my specialty, and I've been working with the VetU team for a number of months now, helping vets with their tax and accounting compliance, taking away that burden, so they don't have to worry about deadlines and whether they're doing the right thing or not. We can guide you through that process. And also making sure they're as tax efficient as they want to be, which I think is an important distinction, because being tax efficient as possible is not always the right thing to be. Outside of work, I'm a mum of 2 children, 3 dogs and a tortoise. So please do always talk to me about animals. I'd rather talk about animals than tax a lot of the time. So I'm very happy to share about pets. Yeah, that's me.
I always know, Nicola, you always say you enjoy working alongside vets as well. Seemingly, we seem quite organised.
Very organised. You're my ideal client.
Oh, and I know a random fun fact is that I probably met Nicola when I was maybe 15 years old, when we used to train our dogs together way back when, didn't we? So yeah, there's always been animals in the background there.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Nicola, for telling us a little bit more about you and what you do. And Jay, I'll hand over to you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, Bayani Law, and how we hope that moving forward in future you'll be able to work with members of the vet profession.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me to do this. My relationship with vets is really quite new, having never had a pet in my life. And in my 50s, I now have a little lockdown puppy who's the cutest thing ever, but you know, it's really taken some getting used to. So I've got an understanding of what vets actually do. I'd never been into a veterinary practice ever in my life before a few months ago. But in terms of the work that we're hoping to do with you, so we're all about people management and employment issues. So we're a niche law firm regulated by the Solicitors Regulation Authority, but we're quite unique in that we've got a mix of employment lawyers and HR advisors. So we do everything to do with people. So whether your vets are individuals working within a practice and have any questions about employment law or their employment rights or their plans to exit, things like restrictive covenants, which might prevent them going and joining a competitor or setting up on their own. We deal with businesses, so any practices that have issues with their employees and need HR advice, need to protect themselves with the right contracts and policies and things like that. So and we're doing Jason's here. Jason looks after our clients with health and safety and recruitment and everything else really around people issues.
Super. Thank you so much, Jay. I love that you've got a puppy as well. I know certainly I can imagine they're keeping you very busy. I know Ruth's just got a kitten as well. So you've all come on board with VetU and it's come with pets, it seems.
Yeah.
Oh, so thank you so much. And I think that will be so interesting as we move forward into events in the new year, because I know things like restricted covenants are topics that come up again and again, Jay. So we're really looking forward to working with you and Jason more as we go into next year. Super. So as everyone started to introduce themselves there, you might have started to have your ears prick up a little bit and think, oh, you sound like the kind of person that I should be working with. I will pop in the chat shortly the links for you to start making contact with everybody, but it's not just about us knowing what we do in our job titles. We thought it would be a really good time, given the fact that we're on Talk Money Week, for us to talk a little bit more about finances and our own personal lessons, I guess, in finance too, because behind every job title we know is a person and a human being. And I think certainly as we know more about people as people, it breaks down some of those barriers to us actually getting in touch now that you know a little bit more, even after a few minutes, about everyone else on this panel. So we thought what would be a really good thing for us to ask, given the fact that it is Talk Money Week, would be asking everyone to reflect on what has been the biggest financial lesson that you've had. And that might be a tiny one, that might be a huge one, it might be a big revelation. And I thought that it would be useful for other people on the call to glean those insights from people that work in these spaces and work around the employment space as well. So I thought we'd come first. We'll go back around the room. We'll come to you first, Ruth. What's been your biggest lesson, do you think, in finance over the years?
Biggest lesson, well, for the clients that I deal with, is to make a start. Don't put your head in the sand. It's people often think that their situation is worse than what it actually is. So when I talk them through everything, I'll never forget, I was on the call to a client and she was like, oh, I need this setting up and that setting up. And I actually went through everything and I went, do you realize that you actually have cover for this already? So there's no need to set it up. I was like, I can't actually help you. There's nothing that I can do. So don't put your head in the sand, just look at it. Be open. I'll go on that journey with you. I'll help you look into everything to figure out what you have, because quite often it's not as bad as what you think.
I think that's such a powerful lesson, Ruth, and I think we all definitely agree with that as well. And I've not asked him this and I've not given him any prep time, but I'm going to go to Matt and ask Matt what his biggest lesson in finance has been as a member of the VetU team as we're going around the room.
So my biggest piece of advice, I guess it's a bit like us as veterinary surgeons. I can always remember back to that time at 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, just sitting down to an evening by the fire, reading the papers, and you get the call from that owner with the sick goat or the sick hamster, and they say, well, she's been on and off for the last 6.5 days. We just thought we'd leave it until Sunday night to give you a call. And then, of course, you end up, delaying the call, unlocking the clinic, and you never offer your very best veterinary advice in those situations, I find. And I'd much rather that client have called me, 10 o'clock on Monday morning when the goat or the hamster was first sick. And it's exactly the same with finances. So, don't delay, don't put off. The best time to try and sort out either a problem, or if you're lucky, just get your act in order with finances is as soon as you can. There isn't too early to sort it out. Whatever it is, if you're looking for a return from your finances, well, you'll get all the benefit of compound interest if you start early. If you're looking to make sure your health is secure, well, start today in that regard. If you're worried about your income, or if you're worried about how you might structure support for your business, legal accountancy support, all of that really can't wait. You'll get your best advice if you act today. One of the reasons I decided to get involved with VetU is I was fortunate enough to get some great advice personally around, taking out a pension, income protection, health insurance, all between the ages of 16 and 23. Quite young, and but never looked back in any of those. And then I just rolled that out into the rest of my business life, as I've been involved in setting up veterinary clinics and running veterinary clinics, and getting the extra accountancy and legal advice that was needed. So I guess for me, act early, be brave. And I know I've said this before, but don't let perfection get in the way of good enough. Don't wait until you think that you're in that perfect time to make an investment and reach out to an accountant about how you should be sorting out your affairs, or making that decision to invest in a pension, or getting that extra piece of legal advice. There is never going to be the perfect time to make any of those decisions. So just when the time's good enough, then get on the phone and take that professional advice.
Yeah. I think that's another solid lesson, Matt. And I think certainly from yesterday evening on Ruth's session, where you could see the difference between starting a pension early and waiting until later in the life. I know that was something that I think was a big eye opener for quite a few people that were listening. So we'd love to hear anyone else's lessons or revelations or anything that you've learned this week in the chat box as well. Please do pop them in there and we'll read a few of those out. But next we'll come over to Nicola. What's been your biggest lesson in finance as someone that spends a lot of time crunching numbers and being surrounded by pound signs, I imagine? Oh, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think Matt's just stolen mine a little bit there. I was going to say to always seek that expert advice on areas where you're not entirely sure, but also taking that one step further is, as well as taking that expert advice, is all to understand that advice that you've been given as well. Don't just blindly rely on the expert that you've got on board with. With my clients, I've found over the years that those that engage with the process, those that sit down, and I will always sit down and explain the accounts to the client, explain the tax return to the client, and those that engage in that process and understand how their company works or how their tax position works are the ones that, well, I should say that they're not the ones that end up in sticky situations. Those that blindly accept what you're doing are the ones that tend to be the ones that end up in a sticky situation. So it is really important to understand that. And I take that advice personally as well. My husband started a lockdown business, needed some payroll doing, and although I'm an accountant, payroll is so niche, I refuse to get involved with that for him. And he sought some advice from our payroll department because they know what they're doing.
I love that, Nicola. And I think that's why we're so passionate at VetU about getting people like yourself and everybody else on the panel here to do these education webinars and sessions, so actually you can understand what you're talking about. And I know I personally use yourself and Harrison Co as my accountants, and I find that so helpful when we jump on a Zoom call and you say, well, this is why this has happened, and this is why I've done this, and I've had to put this back here because of this reason. And I'm like, oh, and I always learn something every single time. I know Matt said that on the last Ask the Accountant session, that every time he has a session on accounts that he attends, he learns something new. So I think that's a solid lesson as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Thank you so much, Nicola. And Jay, what has been your biggest personal financial lesson over the years, if there's anything you'd like to share there too?
Well, mine was rather catastrophic, and I'll share it with you, my own sort of personal story. So I was in a partnership, a law partnership, and I thought that I'd amicably agreed to leave and set up on my own. And the reason I share this is quite important, because I think, you know, a big lesson is always be ready for the unexpected, and your rainy day may come sooner than you think. So I ended up in a 4-year trademark dispute because they didn't want me to actually practice in my own name when I set up. I started creating a business plan based on a whole load of clients, because that's what they agreed with me that I was going to take. I'd only been with them a short time. The business plan had to change rapidly when they changed their mind, and I ended up with not a single client and sitting in a little unit that I rented on my own in tears, thinking, well, what do I do now? I've got to start the law firm from scratch. And you know, it takes a lot of resilience, but I think, you know, the lesson for me was, you know, they say that you should always have a certain amount of money in your personal life. You should have, I think well, Nicola probably knows, but, you know, the guidance is you should have 3 months worth of outgoings. Well, I think the same in business life, because had I not put some behind me, there's no way I could have done what I did. But because I had done that, it enabled me to gather myself together, start from scratch. It didn't matter that I didn't have, you know, clients from day one, and I built it up, and I'm really proud of sort of what I've done since then. But, you know, it wasn't easy. So not relying on what other people tell you as well, and making sure you've taken your own advice, and you know, you've thought through the ramifications of what you want to do in life.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Jay. And that resonates so much with what we talk about at Vet U, of helping to support an independent you, and not one that's ending up relying on others or ending up in what you've already described as would be a very stressful situation, which if you had an added pressure of there being a financial worry of not having that buffer there as well, that sounds like that would make it 10 times more stressful than something that was already quite taxing.
Yeah.
Super. Oh, thank you so much. And Jason, I'm going to come to you as well. I have not prepped for Jason to answer this question either, same as Matt, but Jason is also from Bayani Law, and I wondered what would been your biggest financial lesson, Jason, over the years, if there's any that you'd like to share.
There's nothing like putting him on the spot there, Katie. So
sorry, Jason.
Fine. No, and I'll share a bit of a personal tale as well as Jay did, and picking up on what Matt said there about, you know, if you're going to do it, and sort of not and ah about these sort of things. So my wife for the last 24 years has been nagging away to say, you know, we need to buy a sort of second property to top up your pension and so on and so forth. And I wish I'd have probably done that 25 years ago, when house prices were a lot less than they are now, and at almost 51 on Friday. I took the plunge 6 months ago and did it. And so that's quite for me, being a little bit of a steady Eddie kind of character, that's a heck of a, you know, financial sort of thing to do, and certainly at my age. And yeah, I think looking back, you know, taking on board what Matt said there, is that, you know, if you're going to do something, then just do it in my way, you know. And yeah, so that's probably my sort of personal story. That you know, and so the thoughts of having a mortgage when I'm 65 scares the life of me. So I think I'll be knocking on Nicola's door and seeing if I can shave that off a bit. But yeah, so that's a bit of a sort of personal financial thing for me. Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, Jason. I think it just comes back to everybody saying the same things, isn't it? Of act sooner, get advice, make sure that you understand and that you're educated. And I know they're things that we're really passionate about. And that's why we're so glad that we work with all of you, because I know we talked about this last night on Ruth's call as well, that we go through a process of having lots of meetings with anyone that we want to work alongside at VetU, and just make sure that we all align, and that you know as much as we do that we're so passionate about helping vets, vet nurses, animal care assistants, receptionists, every member of the vet team to be able to embrace that independent you and look after their health, their income, and their future as well. So our next question that we've got, I think we've had a little bit of a crossover to it. So it might be that we have to get our thinking caps on, but I thought if we had one top tip that was like a one-liner or just something that people could action off the back of this, because on Monday, we all talked about money mindset. And one of the big things that I know Matt came to say was that actually sometimes it's just going out there and doing it. We can think about it. I talked about the fact that yes, sometimes it feels uncomfortable, and to be a little kinder to ourselves because that's based on the beliefs that we never chose. But if we were looking at an actionable step that people could go out there and do, that's not going to take them long, that is just either a top tip or something that perhaps you think is useful to go and check out and do, I'm going to see what everyone thinks of that. And I'm going to start with poor Matt while everyone has a think. Sorry, Matt.
So definitely my first top tip would be to do a little bit of budgeting. So try and work out, what your income is at the moment, roughly what your outgoings are on some of the key things, maybe your rent or your mortgage, groceries, some of those basic things, and then try to work out very, very roughly what available money you might have if you're looking to provide some of the protection that we talked about, whether it's around protecting your health, your income, or your future. And again, you're going to hear it again from me. You don't need to budget down to the nearest penny. I certainly don't. Perfection again, not needed, but good enough certainly is. So you need to know, be honest about what you spend your money on. And then once you've done that budgeting, you can then start to work out how you can bring in some of those protections we spoke about. And again, don't put off making that decision, because you might be surprised about, the possibility to create, to get an income protection policy or a health cover policy, or maybe even start to contribute to a mortgage. As little as £20 a month certainly will kickstart you. I started my pension with £50 a month. And I can tell you, admittedly, I'm a little bit older. 24 years later, my pension is worth twice the amount of money that I've physically put in. And that's even with the big shock of COVID, which, was hard to take if you follow the financial markets. But, that early start by doing a little bit of budgeting certainly helps. So, work out where you are to start off with, and then take some action.
Super. I'd completely echo that as well. I have not prepared myself to give a top tip, so I'm just going to back Matt's one up as well and just say there that actually that's one of the things that I find a lot of clarity in doing, is just see what's happening and not popping my head in the sand. And actually, sometimes I've been pleasantly surprised at how much there actually is there. And then you've just got a ballpark as you move into speaking to professionals like the fantastic people we've got on the panel here. So Ruth, what is your top tip for everyone listening?
I do love Matt's about just budgeting and kind of finding out where all of that income kind of goes, because the amount of times I hear people go, I've got this much left over, but I've got no clue where it goes and what happens. If you start to kind of just for a month, is just start to take stock of, right, well, I went to the shop and I spent it on this, or I went out on Saturday and I spent this. At least you know where it goes. But anyway, so I think that's a great start, is with the budgeting. However, my one top tip, put my teeth back in again, is just to make a start. Just do it. Stop over procrastinating. Stop thinking too much about it, and just take charge and do it. And for me, a lot of the vets that I speak to worry about their pensions and how much they've got, and how much they've saved. Now, there is a wonderful little document called a BR19 form that you can go online, and if you search what is my state pension, the government website will come up, and you'll be able to see where you're up to, with your national insurance contributions and how many years you've accumulated so far. Don't overlook the power of your kind of state pension, which if you have 35 years full, you'll get over £9,300 a year. So that's not to be sniffed at. So there's a great starting point, just finding out where you are, free information, Google it, it will come up and you'll be able to have a look and that will all count.
Super. Thank you so much, Ruth. And I can see someone has put a question in the chat, which is there a good Excel sheet you can use to write all the ins and outs down? And I know someone that has one. So Ruth has kindly sent us her fantastic Excel sheet if you are a spreadsheet enthusiast. So drop us an email, hello@vetu.co.uk, and we can make sure that we get that over to you, because Ruth has kindly given us that, and it has everything on there from every bill you can think of to Netflix. So if you are one of those people that wants things to the penny, then we can get that across to you. So drop us an email and we'll get that over to you. So thank you so much, Ruth. I think, again, more solid advice, and someone's popped amazing thank you in the chat. So super. And Nicola, what is your top tip?
Mine would be just to write it down, write down what you need to do. I find when it's all in my head, everything that I've got to do, I do nothing. But when I write it down on a piece of paper and I've got a list that I can tick off when I've done things get done. So yeah, just try and leading on from that, just break it down into small chunks. Don't think you've got to fix your entire financial problems in one day. Just break it down into small chunks, write that list down of all the things you need to do, and then just work through it one by one, because if you don't start, you're never going to finish, are you, by definition?
So true. And I swear this is a phrase that I just keep saying again and again, is how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And that's come up on every talk we've done so far this week. But I love that tip, Nicola. I think sometimes, like you say, it's written down, you just know what the next step is, rather than ending up just putting our head in the sand as well. And someone's just popped in the chat, we have access to the recordings of the 3 evenings we've had. Yet they will be going out. It will be next week at the moment for those recordings to go out, because we are all at London Vet Show tomorrow, and we hope that some of you will be joining us there as well. But we'll make sure that we get those recordings out next week, because this has been invaluable information. So thank you so much for your tip, Nicola. I love that one, and I love a good list. And I can see that Matt's put lists. I can't even speak. I love lists as well. Me too. And then I'm going to come to Jay. Jay, what would your top tip be?
Well, I think as an employment lawyer, I would say that you should know your worth. And if you're an individual working in a practice, I think it's absolutely fine to justify why you should earn more money. If you're quite senior and you're very instrumental to the success of a business, then, perhaps negotiating not just a more creative way of getting some spoils from the business, if you're in a position to do that. And if you're on the reverse of that, is if you're a business owner, I think you should think about the value that your employees are bringing to you, and not be afraid of questioning that, and using things like, we use a lot of performance management tools, making sure that we're getting the best out of employees, and we advise our clients how to do that. And if employees aren't working out, don't be afraid to part company with them. Although it's a candidate-led market at the moment, you'll find good staff if you're operating a good business. But I think a lot of money can be wasted by keeping people on that perhaps aren't the right fit in the business.
And I love that point of remembering our value as well, Jay, because I think certainly whenever we put out content about negotiation, Paul, who's part of the VetU team, talks a lot about negotiation, and everyone's always amazed that, actually, you know what, I can go and ask, and I can discuss that, and we can look at those numbers and performance reviews and realize that there is negotiation space there, whether that's about finances or whether that's negotiating holiday or CPD allowances and things. So I think everyone remembering their value is such a fantastic point. So thank you so much for that one. And Jason, I'm going to come to you as well. If you've got one top tip.
My grandma always used to say, bless her, before she passed away, shop at Lidl instead of Waitrose, and it'll be amazing how much money you'll actually save over a week. That's my tip for you.
Yeah. I think that is a solid tip. I think certainly we, on a personal note, we saw that going and shopping at Aldi and not even spotting really that much of a difference. And then that extra amount of cash is what goes into our pensions or paying off our mortgage and extras like that, because you just don't see it. So, I mean, certainly thank you all so much. They were fantastic tips, fantastic lessons. It's been great to know a little bit more about everybody that is the face behind the names of the fantastic experts that we work with alongside VetU. So I'm going to jump to Matt and see if Matt would like to add anything else to that panel, because I realise we don't want to keep you all a long amount of time this evening, given the fact that many of you will be heading to the vet show as well. But Matt, would you add anything in the wrap up there? Because that was fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time.
Indeed, yeah. Just to echo my thanks for everybody to come along. And I know the audience have also given up their time today and over the last couple of days. I've seen some reoccurring names, so we're really pleased that you've come along to hear the entirety of what we've had to say. But this really should only be the beginning, not the end. And so hopefully it means that you can, off the back of this week's talks, take some action, set that first budget, work out where you need to be, and set your financial independence as a priority going forwards. You certainly won't regret it, whether your aim is to carry on working as a vet or to diversify your career, whether you want to work independently, set up your own business, or whether you are happy to be an employee. Whatever your choice in life, you will find that if you are independent with your finances, then you will have so much more opportunity open to you, and the chance then for you to engage an accountant and a lawyer and a financial advisor will really be at your gift. So make those decisions early, and then move forward, and I can promise you, you won't ever regret it.
Super. Thank you so much, Matt. And that is the foundation upon which VetU is created as well, just to keep pushing that message home to everybody. So I just wanted to quickly run through the last 2 days, because like Matt said, we have seen quite a few of you that have been on the first 3 days so far, and well done you for gifting yourself this action-packed week to actually take back control of an independent you as well. So we've done day 1, we've done money mindset, we've done day 2 where we did financial well-being, we've done day 3 where we've been thrilled to be joined by our fantastic guests on the panel, by Nicola, by Jay, by Jason, by Ruth, and by Matt as well, on here too. And day 4 is all about the VetU Community Mastermind. Now, if you are not at London Vet Show, first of all, please do. We would massively appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to fill out a survey that we've popped in the workbook for you. So if you haven't downloaded it already, to go alongside Talk Money Week is a fantastic, many pages long workbook that took quite a lot of time to make. So please do use it, because so many people that have opened that have said, wow, this is brilliant. Have a look through there. You'll find a link to the survey where we just want to know a little bit more about what you'd like in a one-stop shop for financial education. So you say it's great that you bring these experts in and you connect us with them, but really we would like to know a little bit more about educating ourselves. And that comes back to Nicola's point about understanding the advice that you've been given to. And that's what we want to help you do. So please do fill that out. If you are at London Vet Show, we would absolutely love you to come from 3 till 4 tomorrow afternoon, that's Thursday, to meet Matt, Paul, myself, and Ruth. And we'll also have Reese Thomas from WTT Consulting there, who gave us the IR35 talk. And come along and meet us and come and help us find out what will be in that one-stop shop for you. Then finally, the 5th day is where we're going to be talking about setting yourself up for success in 2022. Now, please remember, every night we've talked about taking action and just doing it, just booking in, just talking to the people that you need to talk to, making the budget, going and researching, going and checking out your pensions, just at least breaking that elephant down into the chunks. So if you want to take action and book in with someone, please don't wait until 2022. We can do that now. So as we go through our slides, I've got a few next steps here. So if you are still not sure who you need to connect with, you've been going through this week, you've started to notice a few of your blocks and realize what your sticking points are for in your financial journey, but you're not sure Should I be speaking to an accountant? Should I be speaking to a solicitor? Should I be speaking to a financial advisor? Should I be speaking to somebody else? I'm just not sure. If that is you, that is no problem. That's why we're here. So email us, hello@vetu.co.uk, and we'll get in touch with you and we'll help you signpost you to which direction you need to head in. Make sure you're registered at VetU. We can ensure that then any of these further events that we do, you're on the mailing list. We send out all the information, all the resources. You'll get the recordings from this as well. So make sure you signed up there. If you'd like to book in with Ruth, we've got Ruth's Calendly link there. It's also in the chat too. She's got lots of spaces. You can have a complimentary first call with her and just talk through what you need help with. She's very approachable. You've seen her for the last few calls as well. She's full of energy and enthusiasm for finances, and she'll help you feel the same too. If you'd like to be introduced to Nicola from Harris & Co, Chartered Accountants and Chartered Tax Advisors, then please do again, click on the link. You'll see more about our relationship with Harris & Co. You'll find out a space where you can add in what information you'd like to know, and then we'll introduce you directly to Nicola, and she'll be able to book in an exploratory call with you as well. So that's, like we said before, all your limited company and self-employed questions, all your expenses questions. Do I need my tax return? If you need an accountant and you want to chat with Nicola, she is your lady, and that is your link. If you'd like to know more about Jay and Bayani Law, then please do drop us an email and we can introduce you directly to Jason and to Jay. And I know Jay has covered a little bit about what Bayani Law offer. We're really looking forward to next year having a few webinar sessions where we'll dive more into some of those topics that she's very kindly touched on as well. So again, like we said, we can learn a little bit more and empower ourselves, I couldn't think of the word then, with the knowledge that we need to move forward. Finally, make sure you're following us on social media. And if you are at the Vet Show tomorrow, please come and see us 3 till 4. We would absolutely love to have you there. So again, a final big thank you to everyone on the panel. We massively appreciate your time and coming along on this evening, and all of your help and expertise at VetU too. It's fantastic. Thank you to everybody that has come along to this session live, that is here again for a third day. I'm so glad that you've enjoyed the other ones. Well done you for showing up, because this is the action that you wanted to take. If you felt like you weren't very good with money or you wanted to improve with your finances, you just being on this call is the start of that. So well done you, that's brilliant. And for anyone that does watch the recording, because I realise that there'll be many of you doing that with it being the Vet Show tomorrow, then please do fire us your questions and we would love to help you, because that's what we're so passionate about, helping you to protect your health, your income and your future. So we've been VetU, the home of independent you. We really hope to see you tomorrow at 3 p.m, or if you can fill that survey in as well. So thank you all so much, and we hope you have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Great work. Thank you, guests.